where we dive into the rich tapestry of art, the profound teachings of Jesus Christ, the complexities of emotions, and peel back layers to uncover social truths like onions in a hot dog. I'm your host, Jared. And today we're joined by the one and only Kate Orsini, ready to grill the captivating narrative of the new upcoming film, Somewhere Montana to Perfection. Get ready for a flavor explosion in every bite, but before we embark on this savory journey, a quick disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests. We do not necessarily reflect professional advice. This podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. While the hosts and guests may share personal experiences and insights, listeners should consult with qualified professionals for any specific concerns or issues they may have. Remember, we're all just humans, sharing our life experiences and perspectives of this journey called life. So as we relish into these diverse topics, let's remember to seek our own truth and knowledge. Love God, love people, and treat thy neighbor as thyself. Let's fire up the grill and savor the wisdom and insights that awaits us with Kate Orsini.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I am so glad that you were willing to work with me on getting this this taping, this interview, this great conversation. Because I'm just trying to get everybody from somewhere in Montana that wants to hop on here and just
Yeah.
give a little bit of this journey and how things came about, and just excited to see where it goes. So, Kate.
Yes.
What? Give us a little bit of who Kate Orsini is. What kind of training have you done as far as acting? How long you've been pursuing this? Besides
Yeah.
being in a bunch of other shows, actually, I wanted to just really quick say the amazing things that she has been in. And correct me if I'm wrong. You were in NCIS LA. You were in NCIS, just regular NCIS.
Yep.
And I looked them up. And I was an extra, featured extra in NCIS LA, like
Oh my
the
God.
season finale of back in 2018,
Yeah.
and then also in NCIS as a dead body, like the featured extra, where I was like the victim. And
Yes.
so we technically worked on the same show.
Perfect.
So give us a little rundown of
That's an
who's
absolute.
Kate?
Yes. Yes. I was born in Talladega, like Talladega Nights. From there. I'm from there. I started as a dancer, and then as I got a little older, like 10, 11, 12, by the grace of God, a woman moved in next door who was an actress in Talladega. Like that does not ever happen. It has never happened again. Um, but she was from Birmingham originally, and she'd gone to Broadway, and she tried to be a dancer, and she had succeeded. But then she came home because she fell in love with an Alabama dude, and they just happen to be our neighbors. And her name is Lisa Payton Gaines, in case she's listening. Um, and she took me under her wing. And by the time I was 11, 12 years old, I was going to um, tech rehearsals for musicals. You know, I was going to dance rehearsals and wardrobe fittings and music rehearsals, and I was like, this is the new thing. I don't necessarily need to be a ballerina. I need to do this thing.
Yeah.
And so I started taking classes and all these things when I was about, I would say 12. And by the time I was 13, I had a paying job as a dancer in a musical. But in Birmingham, they had a great theater scene. They still do. I'm hoping to get back and do something of mine there. And it just stuck.
Yeah.
So
So you've
yeah,
had the acting bug and performing arts bug
forever.
for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I went to Vassar. That's a great drama program in New York. Jane Fonda went there. Meryl Streep went there. Lisa Kudrow
Wow.
went there. So Hope Davis too. I think is wonderful. So yeah, it was a great training ground. By then, I was like, I never want to do a musical again in my whole life. I'd done like 30 of them already, and I was like, no, 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 no. Um, and I kept going home for the summers and doing musical repertory, so 3 per season. But that was just because they would fly me home to see my mother. So like,
Right. You're like, free ride
already
home.
thinking like an actor, what can I get for
Yeah. We're
how do I
starving
get him
artists.
to send me home and put me up? Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's that just doing everything you can, like just pursuing that passion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've understood the difference because I've been on both sides. Pursuing a passion, not because you love it, it's your passion, and maybe you're pursuing it for a dollar or
Yeah.
for money.
Yeah.
And it's easier to quit something when you're not pursuing it as a passion. So much money.
It's true. It's true. I think we learned that a lot during the strike. I mean, I've been through several of them, but this last double strike of writers
Yeah,
and
how did that
actors,
affect you? If you don't mind.
not great. It was
Yeah.
not great. I mean, look, I've been doing it long enough that I can maintain my lifestyle when there's a tough year, because there's always, and I just sort of live in a way that allows me to have that backup. But but the point was exactly that. I realized, first of all, I didn't miss auditioning because it's become so fraught and difficult and joyless, because you don't even have this. You literally just have
Hmm.
you talking, into your wall. Um,
Yeah, I said nothing. Yeah.
it's just brutal. And then, but I missed acting. I missed it terribly. So we actually ended up shooting some improv stuff for free. So nobody was in, any sort of issue with SAG or with the Writers Guild, because there was no script and no one was making any money.
Yeah.
So, but I had a crew of friends, and we were like, we have to make something.
Yeah.
We just have to. It was 8 months total where nobody could do anything. So, yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but um, up here in Montana,
yeah,
uh, not correct me wrong on this one, but up here in Montana, as an actor, being up here for about 15 years, and I've been down in LA, lived in my car, did all that. But being up here and diving more into the film scene up here,
yeah,
what I realized was when when us artists, because the only way that we can really do our art as acting is we can't just do that by ourselves so much.
right,
Yeah, you can make like little things, but if you're not editing, you're just like an actor, you don't know like all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
you g- it eats at you. You get
yes,
itchy. You're like, I
yeah,
need to do my art. I was
yes,
created to create. I must create. And it got
yeah,
to the point where during the strike, you're like, this strike is affecting us to just do our art.
yeah, 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 yeah.
To
And
where you
look, I
did
mean,
stuff for free because you're just like, who
yeah,
cares? We just need to do this.
exactly. And I did have that chip on my shoulder, a little bit of like, I try not to work for free because it is my sole job, right?
Yes.
And you do
Yes.
have a bit. It's not even ego; it's just self worth. You're like, wait, but
Well,
I've
you got to
been
pay
doing
your
this,
bills. You got to
yeah,
keep the
and I've only
lights
been
on.
doing it this long, and so,
Yeah.
but suddenly it wasn't. It was empowering and not insulting, right? Because
Mm,
suddenly I realized this one is because I need it, you
yeah.
know and we got to go out on a crazy limb and do stuff we would never do otherwise, because there wouldn't be time, and there wouldn't be, and it wouldn't be the right use of time. So we just did this crazy experimental thing, and it was soul affirming, and I was so thrilled with it. So, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is that at all? Are we able to see that? Is that anywhere
No, we
for public?
still no, it's not done. I mean, because
Oh, okay.
like I said, it's still being edited, because I think we did it in
Oh,
October.
okay.
And again, because there was no money paid to anybody, we had to wait on a favor
Yep.
to get edited too. Because, like I said, I mean, I can trim and cut and color correct, but I can't like edit a movie.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of waiting on that. And but yeah, it's a thing. It's happening, and I'm like, we did it all by ourselves and for ourselves. So, yeah,
Sometimes it's nice to see now because I've my brain has changed the way I see things. My perspective has changed over the years as far as looking at film, not just being an actor anymore, being on the other side of the camera, diving into other art forms that I'm not just an actor, and actors aren't just actors. There's other
Right.
art forms that we do,
Right.
but for some reason, it's like this weird. Even up here in the film community, up here in Montana, when you go to like a film hangout or like a film meetup, like a script meetup or just something, hangout. It's like everyone like doesn't at all acknowledge or bring up, hey, what other art forms do you do that could
Mhm.
possibly
Mhm.
help us with the
Yeah.
film or
Right.
collaboration? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because up here in Montana, we have to wear more than one hat when it comes to film.
Sure. I
You
think
know?
we all do at this point. I think if you're not some type
Yeah.
of hyphenate, it's going to be a pretty limiting thing, whether you write or whether you edit or whether I mean, listen, if I had it to do over, and not that I'm like, but I'm just not real techie.
Hmm.
But if I had to do anything, I would go learn sound because you can't do anything without sound.
And sound is so important when it
Yeah.
comes to this medium, film,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is kind of cool because I hope your listeners don't get annoyed when I talk about because I teach acting and
Yeah.
I've learned that how to find the emotion, but things of I also teach like beginner classes of like how to set up your self taping because that's how we do it. And I tell them that sound is so important. You could have shadows and maybe possibly something distracting as a background or something, a
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
backdrop, or maybe the lighting. But if you have crystal clear sound, the mind can make up the rest, but this doesn't see.
No, exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's actually
It's
yeah.
very
We,
true.
yeah.
No, I mean, we literally had that argument, and thank God somebody came to us like very, very just as a favor because he too was sitting around because he couldn't get hired by a studio. But our thing, because it was all improv, our big concern was it's basically a two-hander. You've got two people in it, period. And we're shooting a feature with two people.
Yeah.
So inherently in an improv, there's going to be stepping on each other's lines. It needs to be that. You don't know what the other person's going to say. You are going to, step on each other a lot. There was a decent amount of physical activity in it too. And we were talking about like, we can't just have a boom running around, behind us because we're not going to get clean sound. And then we're going to go into the editing booth, into the sound booth, and try to recreate with no script to look back at where we were emotionally, and it would have set us up for failure, and it wouldn't have, it wouldn't work. So we did manage to get, actual mics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lapel mics. It's
Yeah.
interesting when I see. Um, I don't call. I don't like to like compare things, and I don't like to say bad or good, especially when it comes to art forms, because
Okay.
you're just learning. There's growth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the new green film people that I see, and they try to just use like a shotgun mic on top of the camera
Oh
for
yeah.
their sound,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm like no, just get the lav, at least lav
Yeah. You
mics,
need a laugh. Yeah. Yeah.
just that. If that's all you can do, it's better than a shotgun mic on top of a camera.
Totally. Absolutely. But it was something I hadn't even really thought about. And thank God my scene partner was like, and I was like, oh, you're right. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to try to recreate something we made up because, it's not like a scripted film where you've had weeks to think about it and make your substitutions and figure out what she wants and this person could give you anything,
Yeah,
and a moment's notice, and you don't have any, wherewithal. You just have to know kind of who she is and respond based on that. I don't want to try to recreate any of that. Mm-mm.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's not in you haven't committed it to your soul to start with because there's nothing to learn.
yeah.
So yeah,
You were just in the moment,
yeah, it was
reacting to
great.
that.
It was so
Yeah.
fun. Oh my god.
It's so it works in that form.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
structurally over long, it kind of can just flop.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you speaking of scripts and writing stuff, um, when you got the script or the notion or the notification for auditions for Somewhere in Montana, how did you hear about it? How did you hear about auditions? Was it me
Yeah.
that got? No, it wasn't me. It was Ricky.
It was Ricky
Yeah.
Maslar. I've done, I think, 4 films for her. And she just called and said, "There's this thing you're right for. You want to put yourself on tape?" And I'm like, "Uh-huh." It was
That's
very
awesome.
straightforward.
That's awesome. No
Yeah.
bullshit. You just boom right there. Cuts
She's
through
an
it.
angel person. And
Love it.
she also, the following year, um I had just found out that a film that I thought was a go film lost its financing, and
Mm.
within like an hour I mean, not even kidding, I was out on a hike. She calls me. She's like, "Hey, there's a movie in Detroit, and the mom character just tested positive for COVID. And I didn't even bring you in because you're not right for it physically, but I know you can do it. Can you be in Detroit in 36 hours?" And I was like, "Yes, I can.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Sure."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that film just won Best LGBTQIA film at the Toronto International Women's Film Festival in September. So that's exciting.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to
Yeah.
get a, to, I don't know, win some awards. It's not why we do it, but it's just
Yeah.
nice to get recognized for stuff.
Exactly. I
It's
know.
it's it's reinforcing your art, and you're like, okay, it's because we're the biggest critiques of our own art.
Of
We are
course.
very hard on ourselves,
Of
so
course.
it's nice to hear nice things from other people. So we're like, okay,
Well, right.
it's not that
And the
bad.
failure rate, right? I mean, God knows. I mean, the average, I think, is like 1 out of every 10 or 15 auditions do you even book. And if you're only getting 15 in a year, I mean, that's not me, thank
Welcome
God.
to
But you know what I
Montana.
mean? Like, you gotta, yeah, you gotta. So yeah, if somebody wants to give me an award, awesome.
Right.
I'll take
Well,
it.
I remember a couple years back, or like after Somewhere in Montana, because I'm an actor by trade.
Yeah.
But I've done casting, I've done PA work, I've done freaking art, uh, set uh, set construction. That was fun. Um, but I was reaching out to Matt. I think I asked Matt or asked Kaylee. I was
Mm-mm.
like, hey, just question, like how many auditions do you guys get like in a month? Because like I would maybe get 3 auditions a year
Yeah, yeah,
up here.
yeah.
And it wasn't for anything big. But then they started to pick up, and because I just felt like I've auditioned, and that's why I kind of stepped away from acting just like about a month or two ago. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna focus on my other art this summer, because summer's up here in Montana. That's like the prime time. We got 2-3 months of like sunshine.
Yeah,
so that's
buddy.
so all films are
That
here.
is
Like,
the
oh, we're all filming.
perfect
We're all
time.
filming. Yeah.
Perfect time to be
Um.
there.
Yeah. So that's cool. You did the audition. And how was like callbacks? How was all that kind of stuff?
Oh, we didn't do any of it. I just put
You,
myself on tape and,
they're just like, that's it. That's
yeah, I
awesome.
mean, typically with self tapes, at least in my experience, there's not a callback. I have never but once met
Really?
a director on a self tape.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen another human in an audition since 2019.
You know, I know they've been doing self taping for many, many years, and I know COVID, of course, pushed
Yeah, I
things.
mean, yes,
But
exactly.
it and there's pros and cons, but you're absolutely right. I agree with you with self taping. I'm over it. That's what burned me
I
out.
hate it.
But it felt like I got more roles from friends projects than I
Oh,
did from
sure.
auditions. And that's
Well,
where
in
I
the
was like, you know
indie
what? I don't
world,
need the
yes.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the indie world, yeah, but on network TV, even your friends can't bring you in
Yeah.
because it's a
Yeah.
committee of people. Even it's even hard if you're a lead on a show to bring somebody in, or if you're the
Yeah.
director of a show to bring
Hmm.
somebody in. And so you kind of have to go through the channel, and it's just
Yeah, and it's people that aren't in this. They just like, well, don't you know somebody that could just like? It's like
yeah,
there's a
you would
case by,
think.
it's a case by case situation with that saying. It's who you know,
Yeah.
because trust me, there are times that I know people, but they don't have power to do anything.
Well,
That
right.
you
And
know
you
what I
don't
mean?
want to
It's
be,
just like,
yes. I mean, I still have director friends I've worked with before, and I'll say, hey, do you know this guy? Can you put in a word? But
yeah,
until I get the tape, I mean, until I have the opportunity to tape,
yeah,
that guy or woman can't see it,
hmm,
and directors, and especially in TV now, are losing the ability to even make suggestions. 'Cause back in the
what?
day, like, I could always call
They're
up
an
a director.
artist.
I
It's a
say,
collaboration.
oh yes, well,
What's their?
ev-
They might as well just hire a puppet.
it's crazy. It's just there have been a lot of changes lately, but
Yeah.
you just have to adapt or die. That's the thing.
And stuff changes all the time,
Yeah.
and the way that things are made. Heck, the way that we even watch films. We don't
Yeah.
like movie theaters are just going bye bye
Oh
because
yeah, no, there's no, yeah,
you know what I mean.
they can't sustain. Mm-mm.
And so
I agree.
it's, and the thing is, I don't feel that it's the people making the movies that are making these changes so much. It's what we're how we're like, okay, yeah, that's how we're doing it because it is easier. Yeah, it is. But there was a nostalgia of going to the theater.
Oh, for sure.
It was
Yeah,
a
I
whole
mean, yeah.
routine. It wasn't like the ease of it. It was an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't go very often as a result because I can see everything in my house,
Hmm.
and on my own schedule. And, so I typically go to screenings of my own stuff and of friends, and those are in a nice screening room or theater. But I mean, just to pick up and decide to go to the movies is pretty rare, unless there's somebody I know in it, or because, like, I'm
Yeah.
not somebody who's going to go to the Marvel ones. That's just not my speed. And
Yeah.
the
Same.
ones
Yeah.
that I love typically are okay to see on I mean, I have a big TV, but, like, I don't need to be in the theater for it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And plus,
Yeah.
those films are not getting theatrical openings anyway.
They
So,
really aren't.
it's
It's
just,
it's it's pretty mind blowing to see like these big block not even blockbusters anymore. What would you even call them? They're just like the Marvel movies. They're like more
the
like a
tent
theme
pole,
park
the tent pole
entertainment.
tent pole movies, they say.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're gonna make money, but it's just I don't know. And the thing is too is like even like with like Disney and stuff like that. When people were saying stuff about them redoing things and everything, I'm like, it's all art. People in the like, it's a kid movie. I'm like, that's still art form,
Oh
man.
my
Like
god,
it's still
animation
art.
is art.
Come
All of it is
on.
art. Yeah. Yeah.
But so when it comes to somewhere in Montana,
Yeah.
and when you got the role of Dahlia, and you were like walk us through like how like what you're preparing for a role. Was this an emotionally challenging? Was it familiar? Have you done it before?
I mean, I hadn't done it before, but, I mean, it's you're an actress who's a certain age who's going to a small town to shoot a movie. Like, I mean, that was not a big leap. She's mean and I'm not, but besides that, and I love playing like I love sending up the bitchy diva part, because as much as I enjoy playing that for laughs, like, clearly that's not my actual vibe. Um, so it was a breeze in terms of that. Um, my husband had just passed away, not quite a year before, and I
Wow,
decided not to
sorry.
tell anybody
Yeah,
because, like, why would I tell anybody? I mean, I was there to work. Um,
yeah.
but it ended up being such an enormous gift to be there because, I mean, this crew and this cast, and particularly Brandon, and everybody he assembled became a family. And I remember that on the anniversary of Mark's death, we were off. It was it was a Saturday. We didn't have to shoot, and everybody was going out on a boat. just to hang out and, have cocktails on the boat and have a big dinner after and go to the rodeo and like all this stuff. And I was like, I am terrified of boats, like legit terrified, not of boats. And I'm a great swimmer, but like I get real
Yeah.
motion sick. And I just thought, you know what? You can sit in this hotel room and think about the year anniversary, or you can celebrate the fearlessness of this person who you loved who passed away and get on the damn boat. And I literally have a photo of me on the boat, and I'm like,
A forced
I
smile.
look like I'm watching like a horror film. It's hilarious, but I was determined, and we got to the first, destination, and that awesome guy, the one with the beard that he braided all the way down,
Yep. Good old
he's
Troy
like
Carmichael.
Troy, the energy worker. I walked up to him and I'm like,
Beautiful.
this is a big day for me. And I need you to do something, because if you want me to get back on the boat to go home, I have to clear something, because I'm still like, it was, and he did. And I got on that boat and I like opened the cooler. I was like, anybody need something to I mean, it was like a whole, I mean, I really buy all of that. Like I very much, um, but he has a real gift, and I totally respect it. And but the point is, it was such a huge gift to have a new family created for the purposes of this, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And, we're still all in touch, you know? I
We
mean,
we're still supporting. We're still supporting each other's
yes,
work now.
yes. John
Yeah.
Stoddard just shot my headshots the other day. I just talked to Matt over
Okay. If
Instagram
you
about
talk to him
getting this
soon, you
set
tell
up.
him to get back. So because he's supposed to be on here too.
Well, he's always on some little
Yeah, he's
shoot
busy as
somewhere.
heck. Yeah,
He is
he's.
very busy. I know. He's like a pinball
He
stick
told me, okay,
thrower.
during somewhere Montana, he told me that he had shot 30 films that year.
Yeah, I mean it's
And I'm
unbelievable.
like, 30. Wow, man. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, you're brilliant, man. So I get
Mhm.
it. I get
Mhm.
it. I'm like, I already have ideas for some future projects with him. So
Great. Great. If you need a writer, call me up.
speaking of that,
Mhm.
we're more than just actors and actresses.
Yeah.
You are a writer, right?
Yeah.
You have a little. Do you mind talking about your other thing that you do with the
Yeah, no, no,
scripts and
I'm
whatnot?
thrilled about it. I started as a writer in 2008, kind of by mistake, and again out of
Never by
improv,
mistake.
which you're right, out of improv, which is always sort of my basis. A friend and I improved a movie, and we decided just to do audio, not video, because we had seen this episode of Inside the Actor Studio, um, where the director of Will and Grace, who I think was Jim Brooks, Jimmy Burrows, one of those iconic God directors, um, said that he watched it, he listened to the first rehearsal, so that he could be sure that none of the jokes were only landing because of some crazy over the top physical gag.
Yeah, not
And
slapstick
I
so
thought that's,
much.
yeah, like that was very interesting that he's protecting the integrity of the material by making sure it landed almost as a radio play. And I thought, well, that's a fascinating thing. Let's do a comedy and as an improv, and then I'll transcribe it, but we don't have any of the physical stuff. Um, and then my partner in it sort of lost interest, and I kept working on it, and that was the first thing of mine that ever got read. And you know slowly but surely, uh, I got hired to write a screenplay when I hadn't really written anything but that one, and we got it made, which was insane.
That's
But
so awesome. Congrats.
yes, thank you. So we started, like, I started like that, and then little by little I started being asked to fix other people's scripts. So I've got a bunch of producers who will call me up and say, "Hey, can you do a pass on this?" And or, "I heard this story. This person wants to tell it. Do you, I believe it's worthy, and I want to hire you to write the script from the ground up," which I really love too. Um, but lately I've realized there's this missing part in that. which is if you're a novelist, you're an artist, you're not going to hand over tens of thousands of dollars to have somebody write your screenplay. And that producer may not have it either yet, because that producer may be out trying to raise the money. So a lot of really smart novelists are also adapting and going, let me try to figure out how to adapt my own work into a screenplay. But just as I wouldn't like submit a manuscript of a novel because I've never done it, they're kind of coming up with something that's not quite a screenplay, but it's close.
Yeah.
So I've opened a consulting firm called Material Girl, in
That's so
which I
cool. I like the
take,
name.
yeah, I take a look at their book first, read the novel, read what they have, and then do a consultation with them about how to make the screenplay as intense or as funny or as gut wrenching or as whatever that adjective might be as their book. A lot of that is about how to make things more visual. A lot of it is, what are we going to take from a 300-page novel? I got 90 minutes to tell this whole world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we really have to call the biggest things. Can we combine two characters, so that we get two points of view in one person? Can we compress the time instead of 15 years? What if it happens all in one, so everybody's stakes are that much higher? That kind of thing.
Wow.
And that's been a really fun thing to start, because it also allows me to jump and never get sort of bored. And then I write my own stuff too, while I'm
Yeah.
also auditioning and doing voiceovers and
All the things.
all
All
the
the things.
things.
All the things
I'm
that
a
we
hypha
do.
hypha hypha hyphenate.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm right there with you. I got this. I got my day job because up here in Montana, you have to have your day job.
Mm-hmm.
I got my acting studio. I teach classes. I'm doing art. I do my living statue. I'm stepping my game up with my living statue.
Oh
I'm
wow.
doing a floating illusion where I'm sitting, where where they just sit down and it's floating, and then lean
Fun.
forward. So that's another thing. It's like I'm not
I
just an
want to see
actor.
that. You got to send me footage of that. That's rad.
I'll definitely see you
I've
that.
never, I never,
Um,
never. You're my first person I've ever known who does that.
Really,
Yeah.
what's really funny is I'll meet people and I'll mention that because this is my fourth season doing it. And in this little small town, I've been doing it every summer. It's I'll mention it. They're like, "Oh, at the farmers market." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the." Oh, you've seen my secret identity because I'm completely.
Wow.
If I do my job too well, people will pass by and not pay me because they just think there's a weird statue standing there with a bucket of money, which is weird too. I'm like, why would you think there's a bucket of money? That's how like a lot of trusting our town is and the
Right.
state is.
Yeah.
Like you
That
could leave
that
like a
that
bucket
would
of
last for
money.
about 3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sticky fingers down in LA. It's like the ground absorbs it. Um, hey, I wanted to. You had mentioned that your husband had passed away a year before filming somewhere in Montana.
Yeah.
Did you know that Matt's stepfather passed away a year before as well?
I think he told me that. I finally told well, I don't even know that I told everybody, but I told a few people after I'd gotten through it. I think Nick
Yeah,
Shaw knew, Tasha knew, I think Kaylee, I'm sure Matt did too. And Michelle, of
yeah.
course, would have known, and Brandon. Um, but yeah, I think I remember him saying that. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just so beautiful, just being up on that set, because for a lot of people locally, that was a dream come true. That was the
Yeah.
start. Brandon has he built something. He started building something, but like 2 years prior to that, though, we shot a horror film, Nexus of Evil, which has a bunch of the the movie posters in the
Yeah.
movie. That a lot of the people that worked on Somewhere in Montana, that was the original crew from Nexus of Evil, and we
Oh,
shot that
okay.
thing during COVID over 6 days on
Yeah.
set. We lived on the campground with all of our families in the cabins and stuff, like all this
That's
stuff.
kind of great. But see, I love that whole summer camp vibe where everybody
Yeah,
just gets together.
it was so fun to film it. It was because we would work nights, so we would sleep during the daytime. Like I had my kids, everybody had their families, and we all stayed in cabins. And it was just nice to. And we built a community, and we built and we did this crazy movie, and it was most of everybody got. They did it for free. And
Mm-hmm.
then Brandon had, since he's so awesome and he just knows people because he's a
The
genuine,
best.
real person, they were like, "Hey, I'm bored." I don't know if they said that, but they're like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to, do the score for this, like a legit score,
Yeah. Yeah.
editing, color correction, all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So for what it was and what that little seed had planted. That's
Yeah.
what blossomed into Somewhere Montana, and I'm so happy that you were able to be part of that. And it's
Oh,
just
I
so,
am too. It was such a joy. It
yeah.
really was.
What was
Got to come
what
back
were like
out.
your favorite memories?
Oh God. I mean, some of them are just social. Some of them are at the perfect shot. Some of them are just us out by those fire pits,
Yeah,
just me and
yeah,
Michelle and John and Matt and Kaylee and Tasha and Mick, just, because we were all in that same place basically. Um, just hanging out on set with all those people was just great. It was just great. Being out in that field, that gorgeous field where you just looked and there was just lavender. It's the last shot of the movie. You can see it. And the one where Tasha and I are, making out. um, uh,
she
it
talks about
just,
that in her interview. By the way,
oh, did she? I hope she
if
gave you a
anybody
good
wants to
review.
check that out, yeah.
She was tens across the board, by the way. Absolutely. Highly recommend 5-star Yelp review of Tasha. It was like,
That's
no,
awesome.
she's glorious. Like she's
Yeah,
just a heart with shoes. I love her. I love her. I love all of them. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it was the bond, and also I would say a highlight is the scene with Andrew Roa, where he's doing the giving away ceremony. I did not, I was not scripted to be in that scene. I had, therefore, as an actor does, sort of skimmed that scene. Um, I didn't, so I knew what it was, but I hadn't like
yeah.
read all of it. So Brandon, without realizing it, was putting me into a funeral scene, um, which was very, very, very cleansing and healing. And then he said to me, he's like, I can't give you any coverage because like it's so intense what's happening to you. I mean, like it's just, I just
Yeah.
you're kind of taking it a little bit. And I was like, no, no, no. And then I think that's when I finally had to tell him. But the support, I mean, there's nothing more vulnerable than having to stand up there and sing a song and then do a monologue and then go to lunch before we turn around on your coverage. Like Andrew was a champion. Um, but I was glad that he felt supported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
Oh, and
beautiful
also
scene for people to
Graham.
watch.
I
Yeah.
forgot to say Graham. There are a lot of happy memories with him because he and I are the two probably naughtiest types of humor on the set.
Well, yeah, of
He and I
course.
just would always go very dark with our jokes,
Yeah.
and it was hysterical. In fact, Matt and Graham and Andrew and I actually decided that there is a horror sequel to this, in which Graham wears the red dress from the movie
Yeah.
and goes on a killing spree. And so I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, don't
It's very
spoil it.
much in the works,
Yeah,
and
write it
we're
up.
definitely going to
Let's
do it.
that's
So yeah, yeah, I'm very excited.
the reason started saying brilliant more often because
Oh yeah,
the conversations I would have with Graham And the way that he would say my name too, like Jared, it was just like,
You're
why
like,
is it so
yes.
amazing?
You're like, say
Right.
my name, say my name.
and and he was like, I forget what was going on, but he's like, that was brilliant. And I'm like, why is that so cool?
Because
I'm gonna
his
start
accent
saying
is
that.
amazing. Period. You
Yeah.
could say, where's the bathroom? And you'd be like,
In the
mm-hmm.
when I was talking with Matt, he said that he got him a bottle of Jefferson Oceans or Jefferson's Ocean, like a bourbon, and it was aged on the. It's aged. It's like aged in barrels, like in the
Oh,
ocean on a ship. You're right. He's
okay.
like, he's like, you need to read this description for me before you drink this, because it has like this little tag with like a really intense
Yeah,
description,
so you
and
can absolutely
yeah,
do it. Yes.
that voiceover, yeah,
Yes. God. Well, Graham has like a whiskey
yeah.
company or a whiskey something. Yeah.
He
He
just
goes like
he
on
just
tours of, yes.
I just saw. 'Cause I follow y'all on Instagram. I
Uh-huh.
saw him on yeah, him releasing his bourbon. When
Nice.
I started working at a liquor store like about like 6 months ago, and I'm not a drinker. I've drank, but I'm not like I don't know. People are like,
I'm
you
gonna
want a
drink if you
vodka?
say that, but it's really just Red Bull, I swear.
To each their own. Okay. Uh, but I was
Um,
like, they were like, yeah, they're just like, I learned more about like what the difference between bourbon and whiskey and all that kind of
yeah, I
stuff
have
is.
no idea. Like
I'm like,
zero.
I know now, but I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is
Yeah.
really intense. I would have never known if I never
And I
worked at a
don't like
liquor
the
store.
taste of any of it. I just
Yeah, it
like
all tastes
vodka.
the same. Just I'm a
Yes.
tequila guy. When I drink tequila,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like
I
tequila
love
too.
tequila. I don't
I
get
do too.
crazy on it.
But I did drink some Huckleberry vodka though.
How was it?
It was good. I mean,
Yeah,
you have to mix it just with soda because it's very sweet.
yeah.
But I mean, that's not sweet like it's just like any flavor. It just like has the hint, but can't like
It's
make a martini with
concentrated.
it. I wouldn't make a martini with it, but I
Oh
definitely
yeah, no.
recommend it. We met the owner. We met all these crazy, great people there too, in Montana who were just part of the community. And then we ended up hanging out with them. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like such a cool town and it was great.
Would you ever come back to visit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Silly
yes. I
question,
mean,
but I had to
I
ask.
mean, we all came back for the screening.
Yeah.
Then I went to Reno about 2 months ago with Andrew because his
Nice.
alma mater was doing it, and so I went out there for it to support. Yeah, it's great.
You know,
Anything.
the reason why I love, well, one, I started teaching acting, and when I never like got into acting and started teaching acting. I opened up an acting studio because there's no film acting, or there's no education for film acting, how to do it.
Yeah.
The universities around Montana, they're great. I've taken classes there, but it's all theater strong. And so,
Sure. Yeah.
which is good and it can translate, but
Well,
there's
no, I
not, there
mean
was,
that's good
yeah.
basic for sure.
So just starting opening this up, and then I'm like, I don't know what to teach. And this is before like ChatGPT, which has helped me just right. Because I don't know. I never went to school to be a teacher, but I have learned to understand my own emotions, and in order to become a better, and I became a better artist in acting because I
Yeah.
understand my own
Yeah.
emotions and how to. And then I learned, okay, when I was learning this, it's all like on set, and I didn't take any proper training so much. It was like trial by fire,
Yeah.
and it all boils down to the emotion. And everybody on set's an artist. That's why Hollywood's. I understand there's a business structure that has to go, and there's a structure. However, if it depletes from the actual creativity of the overall masterpiece,
Yeah.
it's not respecting. It's just not
Yeah.
respecting the art form.
I agree.
And I get it, but how can you make it work? Like when you said that they were like directors are losing any kind of say, I'm like,
I mean,
I
not
can't
once they're on
imagine.
set, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's getting really tough. It's very, very corporate in TV right
yeah,
now. And that's okay because that's also where such good money is. So you kind of keep
yeah,
your foot in
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
But the indie is where I am really, really happy soul
yeah.
wise. Which is
And
not to
I
say I
honestly,
don't want a series, by the way.
yeah, yeah,
Just to clarify to
just to
you
clarify,
attention listeners.
I'm still up for a sitcom or a TV
Correct.
series.
Like, let's just be clear. Bring me a
Um,
procedural stat.
yeah, I honestly feel that since Offset, you guys were so emotionally connected and respectful,
Yeah.
and just it really reflected on screen as well. Because I
Yeah.
believe strongly, strongly, strongly that all art is emotional. It's an emotion of is an emotion of expression. That's why a sculpture can make you cry. That's why you can hate a movie, and if you have actual reasons why you hate the movie, well, they made you feel something.
Right, right.
So, and everybody on set's an artist, and just knowing that has helped me understand that, and has also made things less stressful. Being
Yeah.
on a set, there were people that they weren't filming that day, but they came to set anyways
Oh,
because they
good.
just wanted to hang out.
Right. Well, yeah. What the hell else were
I
we
did it.
doing? Let's go have fun,
Yeah,
because it's fun just to be there,
yeah.
always. I would rather be on set than almost anywhere on earth ever. Like, that is my absolute happy place for sure.
When I moved down to LA, and I was only down there for a few months, but I was working 5 to 6 days on a different show every day as a background
Mm-hmm.
extra,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no one down there. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have my kids, like nothing, and so people would be bitching and moaning, being sitting on set around like on Shameless or like these big shows,
Yeah.
getting well fed. There's food.
There's
You're
that.
watching. You're on your phone reading a book, getting paid,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they go, "Who wants to stay?" And people are like, "I don't want to stay." I'm like, "I'll stay. I'll go. I'll stay
Yeah.
past 8."
Yeah. I'll stay. I'll spend the night, homie. Whatever
Yeah.
you want.
So it was just kind of
Yeah.
funny to see
Yeah.
that different shift. Um,
Yep.
so uh, I wanted to ask you some. You spoke of the inside the actor's
Oh,
studio.
yes. Yes. My questions. Right.
So,
Okay.
if listeners don't know what we're talking about, Inside the Actors Studio was a show where I forget the gentleman's name, but he
James
interviewed
Lipton.
James Lipton. He would interview actors and about acting, their art, and at the end they
Yes.
would ask these questions. And is it, Inside the Actors Studio still around with just with somebody else, or is it
I
done?
don't know. I actually really don't know. But they
Okay.
also do this. Some of these questions are different ones, but there's a questionnaire at the back of Vanity Fair, the magazine, every month.
Oh,
They ask a bunch of questions there too.
oh, that's
Just
cool.
throwing that out there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
Vanity Fair. Thank you for asking
Vanity
questions.
Fair.
All right. So,
Yeah.
what is your favorite word?
Grace.
What is your least favorite word?
Whatever. I
What?
don't like nothing is whatever. I have an opinion about absolutely everything, probably to my detriment. And if you're coming to me talking about any kind of creativity and you say whatever, I'm out. Like, no.
You're just like
Yeah.
deuces.
Bring some
You're like, think a
passion.
little bit harder. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Come on now. Yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Um, humor, success. I don't mean that you have to be a successful actor or a successful writer. I mean the kind of success where you're known for the quality of it, even if it's just in a small circle, where I can see the quality of it. And if you're a plumber, if you're excited about being a plumber, that's also hot. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
about, again, it's passion and it's enthusiasm. Curiosity turns me on a lot. I've always said my brain is my erogenous zone for sure. Um, and that's kind of the spiritual answer too. I'm very much somebody who kind of borrows different pieces of different things, and I know that there is a greater something, but I'm
Yeah.
very vague about it. I just know there's a large energy field working in my benefit, for my benefit. That's
Nice.
basically, sort of sounds a little woo woo, but
No, not at all.
You've got it.
Not at all.
I find that this is such a soul crushing profession a lot of the time that it's nice to believe in something bigger than you, whatever that looks like for you, and don't
Yeah.
make it another human being, because then you're codependent, and I
Yeah. Never make it
highly
about another human being
no, 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 no,
because
no.
no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah. And the
What turns you
turn-offs are,
off?
yeah, just like apathy. I don't love that. If somebody's not really checked in, I don't get it. I'm not a huge fan of small talk. I like to go right in. Just um which is why when I socialize, I tend to want to be one on one and not in a big group. I mean, I love a party, but at the end of that party, I always go, but I didn't have a chance to make a meaningful connection with so and so.
Yeah.
And that's one reason that set is so great, because depending on who's on and who's waiting, you have a chance to
You have
really go
hours.
deep with those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also typically they're people who are able to do that and who want to do that, because that's one of the things that makes you a good actor. So yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's just me, but maybe it's not. There's days that after even being on set and just being um, either I was wrangling extras or I was actually doing my little role as the um, inside the movie,
Mm-hmm.
having really intense conversations with everybody for hours. I was so exhausted at the end of the day,
Oh
not in
yeah.
a bad way, but just
No, I know what you
emotionally
mean.
exhausted
Mm-hmm.
because that's energy. That's
Mm-hmm.
energy being transferred, and
Yep.
good or bad.
Yep.
If you have intense good energy, it still drains you.
Yeah.
But it was
Oh yeah.
just that right there solidifies my understanding and belief of the energy, of vibrations, of sound waves, that everything has power, words have power, and just have that actual connection, a
Yeah.
legit connection.
I agree. I agree.
What sound or noise do you love?
Laughter is a big one. Um, I don't mean like receiving it like on a stage. I mean walking into a room full of laughter. My favorite people's voices, very, um, I love. I actually, when I'm writing, start to hear, like not in a schizophrenic way, but just I start to hear people talking. That is a very exciting sound for me, because I know that I'm getting in it, and I'm about to find it. Uh, Church bells, I love. Christmas carols. I'm that weirdo who, like, as soon as like November 20th hits, there's one channel out here, one station that plays nothing. It's like it's in my calendar. I'm like, it's time. Coast
It's
103.5 is playing
season.
Christmas carols.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. Christmas carols. They have a time and a
Total
place.
sucker. Total
Oh yeah.
sucker.
Absolutely. What sound or noise do you hate?
Any sort of hospital noises, like, oh God, just get me out. I have now learned that the leaf blower is my least favorite noise. In my neighborhood, it's impossible to escape. Yeah,
And probably in the
and
most convenient times.
right, yes, exactly. And certain politicians' voices, who I won't get into here, and that's it.
It's understandable. I'm an oddly sensitive person, and so I totally understand that. Like, there's times where
Yeah.
I'll be like flipping through YouTube. I'm a huge YouTube watcher,
Mhm.
and I'll be watching like somebody narrating something, and it's just like Joe Schmo with a phone, you know. But like, it's not the quality of it; it's like how their how their
Oh
voice
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sounds.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm
Hmm.
like, I can't listen to this voice.
No, I
And
have
in
the
the
same
dating
thing.
world too,
No, I went to a
I'm
sound
like,
bath recently, which I love, but this girl was lovely and wonderful, but her voice, I was
yeah.
like, I just I
Yeah,
know
and
it.
you're like, I
Listen,
don't know why I feel this way, but I just feel this
right.
way.
I know enough about it, and I know enough about what the goal, not there's no goal, but the what the hope is and what the outcome is. And
Yeah,
I've done enough meditation and stuff to know how to go inside, so I could kind of do the work, just use the time to do the work myself and just tune her out.
Yeah, you
because
have
I was
to.
just I couldn't. I
Yeah.
couldn't.
Have you, and this isn't a sponsor, but I've been wanting to buy these things. Have you seen these,
Yeah.
like, they're not earplugs, but they're like little things you put in your ears that remove certain decibels, so that way if you're audibly sensitive, like in concerts and stuff like that. There's different
Oh.
brands, but the
Huh.
one that I see a lot is Loop, and you stick them in there. I might get them because there's times where, like, I love my kids too, and there's other parents that can relate
There's just
that
a
it's not
pitch they hit.
like one of my kids, no names, but one of their voices, I'm just like, it's just, but they're also at that age where they just talk, 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 talk.
Right.
And me, I'm trying to focus on something, and they still don't have, catching on the social cues. So I'm just
Yeah, they
like,
don't. They don't get it. They don't
I'm
get it.
like, yo, please, Daddy's busy right now, but I'm trying to. Anyways, but they have those. I've been wanting. Yeah, and but I've been
But
wanting
why
to
did
get
you?
those things.
Yeah.
What's your favorite curse word?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Okay, that's a good
I
one.
mean, just like straight across.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in so
I
many
use it in
contexts.
every, yes,
Hmm.
in every context. And I like
There's
to
a
drop it into other words and just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like, I think there's like somewhere where they take uh Samuel Jackson and they just
I like
show the
him too.
different
I like him
he
too.
he uses
Yep.
it, and it's not, and that right there is just kind of like Meisner repetition, but he just, the way he
I
says
mean,
it, it's
yeah.
not what he's saying, it's how he says it.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. He's a total
Love
badass.
it.
Love him.
Well, it just has like all the consonants. It just has all the harsh
Hmm.
consonants that just
Yeah.
it's like you're using it, like, as a fist.
Yes. I will do the total opposite. I'll just girl out and be like,
Yeah.
I mean, like it just depends on my mood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What profession would you not like to do?
Anything with sales, out. And granted, there is a scenario in which you could say we are selling ourselves all the time. An audition is
It's
which,
just a different form though.
but that's exactly it. And it has been very helpful for me to say, wait a minute, an audition is, I mean, yeah, you're pitching yourself, you're showing what you could do, but if you can look at it as a dialogue with a director, writer, even
Mm,
though that person is not for on the other end, but if you can just energetically put them there so that it's not this, let me just do this thing by rote and here it is, and blah, blah, blah. If you can almost uh, include them energetically in your performance, I think not that you're going for result, but just so that there's something collaborative that you can engender yourself going into it. It's a much healthier thing than here's the sales pitch that I have to do,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but anything where it's like, hi, have you heard about the new? Mm-mm.
Well, it's
That would
it's
kill
funny
me.
that you bring that
It would
up
kill me.
because I was this morning. I stop at this grocery store and I get a breakfast sandwich and an energy drink. That's just my thing.
Yeah.
And I go to the self checkout and there's usually nobody there. And I overheard two employees talking, and I'm just like observing with my ears. And she was complaining about something to this other employee, and then as she's like complaining, she's like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah." The phone like rings, and she picks it up, and her tone went up like
Of
a
course.
pitch, and she's like, "Hello," da, 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 da," and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't.
Well,
Like, I've done it.
women are better at that though. Women are
Yes.
way better about that. I mean, I've literally been in a conversation with my best friend about her former dude, and she'd be like, and then this said, and can you even like, hi, honey, and it's him, and I'm like, dude, but you know,
And that's what's when I was younger and my mom was teaching me how to like use the yellow pages, because I did grow up without a cell phone
wow, you
until I was
didn't
like
have to admit to yellow pages, Jared. You could have fooled us. You could have said 30, and we would have believed you. Yellow
yellow page.
pages.
Well, it's Montana, so we're about 10 years behind. So this was
There
like when
you
I was
go.
22.
Okay.
But she told me because my voice would do that naturally. when
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
see. I
hello,
see.
I was calling because I would want
Yeah.
her to call a place to ask a question, and I'm like 9, and she goes, no, I'll show you how to do it, so you know how to do it. And so she showed me, but then she told me like, don't if you raise your voice, it just does this thing where people almost stop listening, and it just talk
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you do that? I'm all squeaky anyways, going through puberty. So yeah, it's I hear you on that one. Those fake
Yeah.
voices. What profession would you like to do other than this? Like, if something that
Yeah.
you've maybe seen or maybe you've tried, but you just know that you can't do it, but you want to. Like, there's so many things that I wish I could
Yeah.
do, but I know I can't.
No, I think I'd make a damn good lawyer. But I'm not in the mood to go back to school and pay a lot of money. Uh, I have tried teaching and I'm absolutely terrible at it, but I'm not sorry about that. So it's not like
Everyone has a purpose.
I respect teachers with my whole soul. My mother was a teacher. So many people I love are teachers. And so many of them are reasons that I'm sitting here. So, but it's just not, I'm not good at it. I'm not very patient as a human at all. So, yeah.
That's I was actually the whole teaching thing. I
Mm-mm.
never thought I'd be a teacher, but
Here we are.
here we
Hyphenate.
are.
Hyphenate.
hyphen.
Yes. Hyphen.
And if heaven exists, which I believe it does, but who knows?
Yeah.
What would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like him to say there's a huge party upstairs, and I had no idea your mother and Mark were such good dancers.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I want.
that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's so cool to hear like just these different answers. Because because everyone is so different,
Yeah.
and I'll teach this till the day I die. But everybody is so different. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. And so
Yeah.
when it comes to art, just because you go to the store and buy the exact same paintbrushes and the exact same paint as your neighbor doesn't mean that you're going to have photocopy exactly of the same things at all.
God, no.
And so just knowing that has made things so much easier. Also has helped, I don't know, helps you uh, just not be so judgy. It's like it's, there's no right or
Yeah.
wrong way.
Yeah.
I feel in art there's no wrong way, it's not right or wrong. It's does it work? How
Yeah.
does it work? And if it
Yeah.
doesn't work, it doesn't work. Figure out how to make it work. And if it doesn't work, then just move on. You got to accept. Sometimes you got to just accept
Yeah.
that.
You can't use your ego in it. You have to serve the greater purpose of the
Yeah.
piece, and if your character choice doesn't move the story in the right way, you got to pick another one. It just is. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, it is. I'm like, speaking of like authenticity, I'm like, ChatGPT has helped me as far as like jumping off points with stuff. Speaking of script writing, I actually was like, when I first discovered ChatGPT, I was like, write me a film treatment for
I
a
know.
boy that lost. I was just
Listen,
curious,
I
and
know
it was like,
several writers who literally, because outlines are so awful, once they have like their concept, they'll put it
yeah,
into, and I'm just like, that's not me because I always
yeah,
feel like it sounds very false.
oh
But I know
yeah,
people who do
and
it.
And
Yeah.
then people were talking about, of course, part of the writer strike about, using AI and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
I was never opposed to it. I'm like, just let people know that you used it, just so that way people can be like, okay, I don't know. But
Yeah.
also, I try to have AI write dialogue. No, they can't replicate that at
No,
all.
no, they
You have
can't.
to have
But
a
if you're
human write that. You have to have a
You
human write it.
do, but if you're
That's the
doing this
creativity.
giant feature where it's all about the monsters or the whatever,
Yeah.
the thought is because the dialogue is so garbage anyway, they won't be able to tell. And I don't know the answer to that because I don't watch any of those movies. But
Right.
my answer is I hope that it doesn't work because
Right.
people need
Right.
their jobs and it's
and
ridiculous.
that's and that's what it all boils down to, because like like a lot of things, it's a case by case thing, and I understand with like the whole AI thing, and I'm like, no, no, no. If you need someone to do some uh come in and do some voice stuff, no, you pay that artist because it's
Right.
not those few words you're paying. They've
That's
been
it.
doing this for a long time,
That's exactly
okay?
right.
And they have
That's exactly
earned,
right.
they have trained, they have done the work. That's
Yep.
what you're paying for. You're
That's
not
it.
paying for a few lines, yo. Just
Preach.
respect the art and respect the
Preach.
artists. Show
Yep.
love and compassion, and just know that everybody's completely different. How can we make it work? How can we collaborate?
I'm
Try
with you.
that right there. Well, Kate, it's been a pleasure. I'm so
It
excited that you
has.
were able to hop on here. And as
I
we
am
wrap up,
too.
yeah, and as we wrap up this episode, I wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining and sharing your insights of into somewhere Montana, but just yourself and an artist overall. Just remember, life's a tapestry, is woven with diverse experiences and perspectives. It's through conversations like these that we gain deeper understanding and empathy for one another. So as you go about your day, keep those flames of curiosity burning bright. Seek truth, keep spreading love, and in every interaction. Until next time, keep grilling those insights, and remember, the hot dog of life is always best enjoyed with a side of understanding. Take care, stay inspired, and see you soon for some more delicious discussions here on Hot Dog Live. Please subscribe if you liked what you like to hear. There's links below with Kate. Of her stuff, her writing, anything that we mentioned that she wants to share with y'all, the links will be down below. Stay tuned for any Hot Dog Lives in the future, and we appreciate y'all. Y'all go in peace. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kate.
Thank you.
I never know how to end these things, so I
I
have to
don't
like.
know either. It doesn't really matter.
All right.
Bye.
And now.